Hey, Pete, have you ever been fascinated by the allure of secret societies throughout history?
Are you kidding me right now, Andy? I live for this stuff. From the Freemasons to the Illuminati, I am obsessed with these clandestine groups. The Rosicrucians and their ancient wisdom, the Skull and Bones Society at Yale with its powerful alumni network. I'm drawn to them. There's something about how they offer this exclusive access to hidden knowledge. They totally capture my imagination. It's like they give this sense of belonging to something greater than oneself.
Wow, sounds like you're looking for one yourself.
Do you even need to ask? Where do I sign? How much blood do I have to give? Are there any required tattoos or brands involved? Is it my first or second born that they need?
Well, what if I told you that there's a secret society for film lovers right here at the Next Reel family of film podcasts, all proud members of the True Story FM network, and you don't have to give any blood or either of your kids?
You've got my attention, Andy. What can you tell me about this cinematic brotherhood?
When you become a member of the Next Reel family, you gain access to a treasure trove of exclusive content, early episode releases, and a community of passionate film enthusiasts who share your love for movies. It's like being initiated into a secret order where you're privy to the inner workings of our shows, including the Next Reel, the Film Board, Movies We Like, Sitting in the Dark, and CinemaScope.
But Andy, as a member, will I unlock a world of bonus content from extended conversations and behind-the-scenes insights to exclusive pre-show and post-show discussions that expand the conversations about the films we love?
Why, yes, the true power of this secret society lies in its community. As a member, you'll join an exclusive group within our Discord community where you can engage in clandestine conversations with other passionate film fans in our members-only channels.
But what about live recordings, Andy? The sacred rituals of any good cinematic order. Will these episodes be scheduled in advance so that members like me will know when to gather around the virtual pyre in real time via YouTube?
Ah, yes. Perhaps the greatest secret of all is that by becoming a member, you're not just investing in your own entertainment, you're also supporting the tireless work of our independent creators and helping to keep the magic of cinema alive and well. So if you're ready to join this elite group of film lovers and unlock the secrets of cinema, head over to truestory.fm/join. For just $5 a month or $55 a year, you will gain access to a world of exclusive content, engaging discussions, and a community that shares your passion for movies. Head to truestory.fm/join to sign up.
Andy, I can't wait for you to welcome me into the inner circle of the Next Reel family of film podcasts. I'll see you in the secret chambers. Now, when do I get my ring?
Well, we don't actually offer rings with your membership.
Tattoos or brands? When can I do that?
No tattoos.
Secret handshakes?
Tell you what, you and I can come up with our own secret handshake, okay?
No, I mean, at the very least.
Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Ever wonder where the devil got his horns?
How about those cloven hooves?
Or that pitchfork?
Wasn't he an angel?
No, he was a snake.
No, he's the great red dragon.
No, he's the beast.
He's the prince of this world.
Prince of darkness.
Well, he's the prince of dark.
Good morning, star lovelies. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Kynan Dias.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, The Devil's Details. What comes to mind when I say Lucifer?
How about Satan?
What about just the devil? How did the big bad of the Western world end up with so many faces? Join us as we dig up, decipher, and deconstruct the devil's many forms throughout history.
Take a guided tour with Dante through the 9 circles of hell.
Or revisit Satan's angsty bad boy years in Paradise Lost.
Learn the ins and outs of a Faustian contract.
Easier than a 1099, but with a hell of a lot more fine print.
Slither on over to The Devil's Details on True Story FM and join us in the diabolic discussion.
Love and hisses. Mwah! Didn't Al Pacino play him in a movie?
Are you sure that wasn't Robert De
I could have
Niro?
sworn it was Tim Curry.
That was Elizabeth
Didn't
Hurley.
he go down to Georgia at some point?
Hey, movie lovers, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson. We are the hosts of the Next Reel Film Podcast.
If you're passionate about films like we are, you'll love our show. Each week, we dive deep into a movie, discussing everything from the story and performances to the cinematography and score.
Not to mention budgets and awards. We have covered iconic series like Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather trilogy, examining themes of power, family, and the dark side of the American dream.
We've explored the works of groundbreaking directors like Catherine Bigelow, discussing her mastery of tension.
We've looked at heist films, great car chases, great years in film, couples on the run, and more.
Our discussions go beyond the surface, examining what makes each film tick. We believe that when the movie ends, the conversation begins.
And we'd love for you to join that conversation. Find the Next Reel Film Podcast on your favorite podcast app or at thenextreel.com.
The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
My revenge is just begun. I spread it over centuries, and time is on my side. Your girls that you all love are mine already, and through them you and others shall yet be mine. My creatures to do my bidding, and to be my jackals when I want to feed.
These are the words of Dracula, written in 1897 by Irish author Bram Stoker. Is a character who has the Guinness Book of World Records for most adaptations. Is still continuing on. At one point they said there was a new adaptation of Dracula every week. It's a character that people have sunk their fangs into, I guess, and continue on. Once it hit public domain, there was no stopping it. Even Sherlock Holmes has very often gets it, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was also a fan of the novel and sent a personal message of congratulations to Bram Stoker after he had read it. He did not like the vampires; he liked the humans. But it is a character that has had many adaptations and will have many more. But I decided I wanted to take one little slice down the middle, and so to see this my particular Drac Pack. All right, I assembled a Fang gang to stumble along with me. So we have Professor Doctor Kynan Dias.
Oh, hello.
I didn't have vampire terms for all of you, so we have the Renfield of our group. We have Tommy.
Mm-hmm. I'll take it.
And our rootin' tootin' cowboy, Mr. Pete Wright.
Bing, bang, boom. I'm here too.
So I wanted to sort of start with this because there is, if you look at the history of Dracula, there's a lot of, especially when it gets to the silver screen, there is a moment where everybody goes, that's who Dracula is. And then everyone else after that sort of emulates that. And so when we had back in the 30s, we had that was Dracula. So when the Hammer films, it was pretty much riffing off of everything that had been established there early on. And I feel like that wheel turns and turns. And so now that in 92, this is where we're going to start talking about our movies, we had Bram Stoker Dracula come out. And I feel like that Dracula is the Dracula that everyone then talks about. And in my estimation, has not yet been replaced. Like, I feel like we're due for a turn of the wheel where someone's going to come through, and a lot of people are coming at it. But it feels like both these other two movies are riffing off of the look, the feel, the style of that Dracula. So we're going to talk a little bit about as it goes along. But for as we get into it, what had you all seen Bram Stoker's Dracula before?
Yes, saw it in the theater.
Yes,
very much.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I figured.
I just wondered why it didn't look like the Lost Boys, because I thought those were the canonical vampires.
Another fantastic, that's very much on the vampire motif of like be young and beautiful forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is not really a major theme in these ones. That like there's many aspects of the vampire movie and stuff too. But this, I remembered seeing it in high school at a very formative time and thinking like, wow, this may be like the dirtiest movie I'd seen on the big screen, you know. And then thinking like, oh, that's probably just your hormone adult teenage brain. And then I watched it again. I was like, oh no. It is absolutely horny. Like,
this movie is so horny.
Yeah, so horny.
While also kind of being like sex shamey. It's got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Well, it's very Victorian. So yeah. So I guess before we get into the thing, what are any axes to grind before we start talking about Francis Ford Coppola's take on the Count?
I feel exactly, upon rewatching it this week, I feel exactly how I did seeing it in the theater, which is it has one of my favorite cold opens of all time. Mm-hmm. And the first half is so great. Mm-hmm. And then the movie loses its mind. during the montage where everyone's doing ecstasy and wolves are sleeping with people and stuff. The movie, for me, this is just for me, it's still so opulent and lush and weird and kinky and all this. So it's still so much fun to watch, but it's like, I know you don't make movies. I've said this before. You don't make movies chronologically, but it's as if this movie got overtired and started like throwing a tantrum and losing its mind because it just keeps going and getting crazier and crazier. But
it's doing a lot. So you can see if it were made chronologically, it would be very tiring. The beginning is throwing everything at the screen, like anything that we can think of. Like, have we tried this thing from the film textbooks or this thing from the film textbooks? And then we eventually run out. Yeah, I felt the same way that I did the last time I had seen it, and I wish I had a changed opinion about Keanu Reeves' performance because he has, since like Something's Got to Give, become a really good actor.
Yes.
Like a really, really, really good actor. So it's similar to like Kevin Costner has gotten to become a good actor eventually, but yeah, Reeves just stands out. It's just hard not to look at that and go like miscasting or just let him speak in an American accent or something. Cause you just want to like him because it's Keanu, but I think that's the one thing that stands out for me.
Yep. I was really surprised on this watch. I watched it last night. I watched it in the headset, biggest possible view I could get. I wanted the cinematic Coppola experience. I wanted it to be what I remembered. And I am so shocked that it wasn't. Like you mentioned Keanu Reeves. I struggled with everyone but Hopkins and Oldman. Like I was like, what movie are they in? And why didn't they tell everyone else? Like maybe Cary Elwes shows up a few times, but I really struggled with so many of the performances, especially Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves. It felt shockingly out of context. The other thing that is aged poorly that I loved when I first saw it is the kind of paper mache collage style of filmmaking. Is there a word for that? Like this, it's just pastiche. It's like
that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Pastiche for sophistication, and it does not age well. I thought it looked like the stuff that I remembered as gritty and real and visceral looked absolutely as fake as can be. The miniatures were screaming at me. Like there was so much of this that my sense memory of the movie was so strong, and I kind of can't believe what I watched.
I see what you're saying, but I really like the handmade feel of this because like it is a movie unlike anything else, and you could tell there was an auteur behind it. Like you could tell it wasn't just sort of manufactured. Like it was really like somebody built those models. Somebody put that train set together.
For sure.
That sort of and fingerprints are everywhere over it.
Yeah, and like you could tell in some places it's like, oh, you're a right-handed guy using the kid's lefty scissors. Like,
but I loved how practical it is. That almost all of the effects, like the shadow effects, like it's real stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, real, just silhouettes, all those things I think are really, really charming. It becomes less so when the movie sort of unravels a little bit for me, because it's like he ran out of old timey tricks, but he used every single one, like you said. Let's go through
in the
textbook,
first 30 minutes,
right? And use every single thing that we can do. I find it captivating. It's really fun.
Yeah, I want to shout out this because we're talking about axes to grind, but if we're looking at scythes to sharpen, I feel like the shadows are a hit. Like I had not remembered just how incredible those shadows were. I really felt like that's Gary Oldman also playing the shadow. And it was fantastic.
Yeah, the fakeness to it, I think, is a strength. So I hear what you're saying, but I think when I think of Dracula, I think of it as being like this play on dramatic irony. Like we all know he's a Dracula. like there's no surprise there, right? And so what a really good Dracula movie can do, like the Todd Browning original, or quote unquote original, the 30s one, right? Bela Lugosi, or this one. Yeah. Is play with us and be like, you all know what's going to happen here. Isn't this kind of silly that this person can't tell that this is a vampire, and that sort of fun. So all of that works for me here. I hear you about the realism. I wonder if realism is more appropriate for a generic vampire movie and maybe not a Dracula movie, if you get what I'm saying. Like the brand of Dracula, like does not exist in the real world. He's bigger than that, and it's impossible for him to be in the quote unquote real world.
I have a nickname on some other film podcast called Popcorn Pete, and I want to tell you I've been fighting that for 15 years, but I can see how I may be coming across as a bit Popcorn Pete here, and I don't necessarily dispute it. My challenge is not so much that it looks it's practical. My challenge is that it looks practical, and the decisions, the in-camera decisions, the editing decisions to overlay and do weird blends of the filmic material did not work for me. It felt dizzyingly sort of like experimental, and it reminded me of what is that horrible Metal Man movie? Oh, this is going to drive me crazy. It's possibly the lowest rated movie in my Letterboxd collection. Tetsuo, yeah. Oh, goodness.
I was like, Iron Man?
Yeah. No.
RoboCop? Like, what is your Metal Man?
It just sort of reminded me of such when we have such beautiful treatment of Dracula, everything else felt cheap. That's my problem.
Okay.
Right? I think Oldman and the uniform and the castle and all of his stuff felt so awesome and sophisticated, and everything else felt like, okay, the kids are going to make the train. So.
Okay, interesting. All right. So it is definitely a horror movie because there's vampires and there's blood and people die and get torn apart and things. It is drama because everyone is very serious, even though Anthony Hopkins is sort of doing his own thing. I would say it's melodrama, because like everyone is really up. Is it camp? Does it get that far? Because it seems like it's pretty much on the line.
Yeah, maybe Oldman is camp.
For me.
Yeah.
I mean,
some of the things, especially
giant hair and
and it's so just sex obsessed.
Yes.
It's just so drenched. I mean, it seems it is a horror movie and it is a vampire tale. It is a Dracula tale. But first and foremost, it seems like he really wanted to make a really heavy breathing romance.
Yeah.
It's a gothic romance. That's where I came down. Yeah.
I agree.
I had forgotten that Winona played his wife at the prologue too, like Tommy was talking about the opening thing, and Anthony Hopkins is the priest and stuff too. I was like, this is so theatrical because it's just like, oh, they only have 2 lines. Well, you're not in until much later. You can play that part too.
Right.
It was very stagey in that, which I appreciated.
And then just jumping forward, the other 2 movies you picked, the other 2 Dracula movies, have borrowed from that idea, where the 92 version is the version. Now there's parallel lives or reincarnation or what have you, and that's just what Dracula is.
Right.
Yeah. It's and source material that they can take their own way, and this love that burns eternal. That seemed like that wasn't. There's a couple things that, as a movie called Bram Stoker's Dracula, that was interesting that he added in that weren't really part of it, and so that was one of them. That it was like, oh, this is a love story across all time. Like, well, he wasn't that interested in love in the original book.
And yet that's what makes this thing sing, right? It's that collision of carnality and the sacred, right?
Yeah.
It's like he's not a villain in this movie as much as he's a metaphor for our repressed desire and longing, and that's sexy, right? That makes this weird, ugly, horrible thing sexy, which is why by the end of the movie, when he is his least physically sexy, she comes to his defense. She's on the steps with him, cradling his head.
Yeah, that was something else I had forgotten, is that she does choose him.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It
I
was
love
like,
you.
it was like,
Oh,
I'm
God,
torn
forgive
between
me.
the 2 of them. Like, no, she pretty much makes her choice. And it's just like, but for the good of all, probably it's better that I kill him.
You're wondering a little bit about how much of that is what we expect of him hypnotizing her, and it kind of goes back and forth until that ending. We're like, oh gosh, no, like this is the culmination of that prologue, right? So as like new or different as that prologue is, like it's tied together in a way that makes perfect sense. There's only one way that this particular Dracula can end, which is Mina making those choices, and it's different from like the sacrifice that a lot of the women do in like Nosferatu, where they're sort of passively like waiting or tricking him into seeing the sunrise or something. She's actively participating and is the slayer.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And in the book, it's much more direct too, where she's like, "Hey, this guy's obsessed with me. Why don't we use this obsession to lure him into a trap, and so we can kill him?" Yeah. And so this one, she's like, "But I want to be together with my prince."
Right. So this is like this is the letter and the intent of the law, right, Mr. Coppola? Like this is he's claiming that this is going to be the story that is the greatest sort of fidelity to the book, while drastically becoming an emotional revisionist. Like the story is in the emotion of these characters, and he radically changed that. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, you can sort of see this sort of playing out the repressed Victorian things of like she has 3 boyfriends. How scandalous is that to it?
Right.
And later on, you know, there's the scene where she meets Dracula in his wolf form, and I was sort of going, did I just misremember that? And they came around the corner, and I was like, oh no, I did not misremember that. No. That is absolutely.
Oh dear Mina, please stay here on the settee while I go get the door for 1800s men at work. They're coming.
No, I've crossed ocean of time to be with you, but first I need to bang your best friend. So yeah, it's interesting that he is. They portray him a little bit as like the tragic. There's the gothicness. There's the tragedy of him at the very beginning of like for best intentions and trying to help his people, which is a theme we'll see later on as we're talking about movies. But then having this, then screw you, God, and then turning it on. So this has probably the most of all of the religious imagery. Maybe tied with the next one. It had a lot of that, a lot of God in this one. So, what do we think about Dracula versus God?
Who would win in a fight?
And where do you order giant crucifixes that are filled with jelly?
Right,
like to just have in your house.
Yeah, and I guess not only do we see like a giant fountain of blood come from that, but then eventually it's healed. So I guess that's God winning.
Oh, is that God winning?
I guess.
I hadn't considered that. Yeah. If God takes the win, I guess I'll give it to him.
What do we think about the religious imagery here in Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I love it because I love that adding that element to any kind of gothic situation. And for him to start his whole sort of path by saying, I fought for God and I fought for God and God won, that this is how you repay me with mean old, whatchamacallit, Anthony Hopkins monk, screaming sacrilege at him, for him to just turn his back on that completely and stuff, and then fall to his knees out of frame. And then the music climaxes all over itself. And you have like the fires of hell like illuminating Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think it's really cool. I like that you can see there's so many parallels and crosses between God and vampire lore of the importance of like blood, for instance, the importance we find out later in a little bit about silver and stuff. There's a lot of anti-God too, because the vampire is able to do what only Jesus is supposed to be able to do, is life after death, resurrection. Right. Life immortal. And so it really is such a polar opposite that I like them when it really leans into that and realizes that the blood, instead of the blood being the life of, the personification of it, is bastardized in such a huge way for Dracula. So it makes sense that they would go toe to toe, even just theologically, I guess.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it for whatever reason, because now that you're pointing it out, Kyle, it's everywhere, obviously. There's those crosses. Because I guess when we typically think of Dracula, again, like in the Lugosi version and the Hammer versions, it's a lot about hell. It's a lot about evil. It's a lot about being cursed. But we don't really think about who's on the other side of cursing or any kind of idea that you could get back from that. So the idea that like the first Winona character kills herself and is cursed in that way. And that's what's really spurring all of this, is like she's a good person who, because of one thing, has now damned their entire family, or their entire family line. Like to personify that with a god is interesting, but then there's also not like a character like a priest, or like they have like 5 people who are hunting the vampires at the end. None of them are a priest, none of them is a monk, none of them is actually like a religious leader in any way. So they I guess come to like a secular conclusion of like what, like love conquers all or anything, because it's not, they don't find it in the text or in the Bible or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll be real honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about a different connection and not about God, and that's what I'm prone to do.
Take us in a new direction.
Do it.
Move us away from God.
Pete's thinking of the Kool-Aid Man again.
Make me the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this like 90s era, because this is the later 90s, but we already had this kind of prestige horror movement kick off, right? Because we had Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Interview with a Vampire, which is on IMDb by a hair judged a better movie than this one.
Interesting.
And it was, curiously, from 1994, a very sort of tonally, similar, trying to capture the era, not with Dracula, obviously, but with, really romantic vampires. And I'm trying to think back to the neighborhood suburban moms in that period, who I think were driving the Interview with a Vampire craze.
Yeah.
And how that spun off to this thing, because I don't think the neighborhood suburban moms were keyed in to Francis Ford Coppola and his take on Dracula. I don't think Gary Oldman was the sex appeal draw of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
True. I did want to talk about that. So like that was like, obviously there are very beautiful people in this, and some of them are wearing not a lot of clothing. Is this Dracula sexy?
What's interesting about that is that because Dracula takes many forms, right? So he's the old Mr. Burns version in the beginning, and then at the end he's the disintegrating man. But the one that I get that is supposed to be like at the front of mind sexiest, the Daywalker version. Somebody probably has come up with the cinephile, like he is I don't know, that's the least successful, I suppose, like as a sexual person out there, and then he's also the least sexy, like the one who looks most human for whatever reason, right? Like, so the movie convinces us in that really gothic or emo way that like the more conventionally attractive he is, the least interesting he is.
Yes, I think that's fascinating, right? This is the inverse of what we've already seen, which is now we're going to play with the trope of sex appeal by way of the antihero monster.
Yeah.
But we are going to justify him emotionally by giving him this incredible vengeance arc. And that makes what he does sort of righteous, and how he looks matters less.
Does it also put more emphasis on his power of putting women in thrall?
Yeah,
the seductive powers that if you look like Tom Cruise, you're like, you didn't need to have power.
You did to mesmerize me.
I mean, you just take out your hat or something. That idea of sort of being a little traditionally handsome, because he is when he's at his most handsome, when he's taking Mina on the other side and stuff like this. I think he looks good. They haven't uglied him up. He just isn't as traditionally. This is interview pre Anne Rice. I mean, they weren't usually super sexy, I don't think. That's what sort of changed it. And so this is sort of bringing it back a little bit.
Very true.
I don't know. I think that the early Dracula was with
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody's got a type.
No, I mean,
careless cats. I don't know.
Once we hit the era where it was the high
Lugosi.
collar, white face, but tucks and tails, and
Metal.
I don't know.
I thought the camera kind of treated him more Phantom of the Opera-y, that you were supposed to be like a little jarring, not mesmerized by it. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We all have our kinks.
I thought he was a snack. I don't know what to say.
Sure.
Well, but Gentlemen, what about the Dracula's brides in this foursome scene? I mean, this is a very sexy thing.
Monica Bellucci.
Right.
I didn't know that was her.
I didn't either. It came up and I was like, is that Monica Bellucci? Oh my gosh, it was. Yeah, I had forgotten how I mean, I cannot believe that this was like on, even at rated R movie, it was on screen. I'm like there is blood fountaining from a nipple.
Yeah.
And she's drinking. I was like, I cannot believe they got away. Like, I feel like the things they did here in '92, you couldn't do now. Even in a rated R movie, you couldn't show some
I
stuff
think
on
they
screen.
would freak out.
I feel like they had to like update the bylaws. Like I can see the MPA like going through the book being like, I guess that's allowed. No one's ever put sort of a naked woman on top of another naked woman and had them be the same creature. So I guess it's just far. We don't know.
Is anybody turned on by that? Nobody turned on by it? I guess it's allowed.
Yeah. It was like the Air Bud. Like they just didn't have rules for it. So you have to let the dog play. Yeah.
The Air Bud rules.
Oh my God.
Okay, let's talk a little bit of before we set up. I really need to do a shout out to the costuming, because that was incredible. Like not only the armor, which is iconic, the sort of muscle exposed looking armor, all the way to like Winona Ryder's like Victorian, like her her cinched waist and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like there's the repression. Then later on we see her like in a flowing gown running down the stairs, which is another one of those always etched in my mind things.
Same thing with Mina's red nightwear cape.
Yeah, and then her virginal white wedding dress that she's buried in. That almost becomes like the Dilophosaurus, where she's with this huge frond spitting blood. That would only be a year later from this time. So, it was, and it it once again felt of a piece where like they're all I feel like costume design, set design, they were all on the same page. Performance wise, maybe not so much. I don't want to take a lot of time to go against Keanu. I think at the time Keanu had really powerful agents and not a lot of agency, because he's in a lot of things in this period that are not in his skill set. Exactly.
They were putting him in everything.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. So I think they had just think of like he's young, he's hot, put him in everything. It's when it gets to the point where they don't even know what color his hair is. You kind of went, they're just like, yeah, we got this guy too. Like once he gets rescued, he becomes really kind of boring. He really has nothing to do with the rest of the movie except just sort of hang out and suddenly go, wasn't his hair just white in the last scene? Like, I guess, never mind. So, any final thoughts on Francis Ford Coppola's? I think this is kind of the peak for him, and then everything sort of drops off from here.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, this sort of was a resurgence for him. This is like Godfather 3, and then this, and after that, he did a couple other things, but it was kind of a diminished.
Yeah, this is him like fully exerting. Well, I haven't seen Megalopolis yet, to be honest.
It's crazy.
I might like it. Yeah, but him fully exerting control over things as opposed to like the Rainmaker or something. You're like, why is Francis Ford Coppola making?
When he's just like a director for hire.
Or Jack. Rob Williams is Jack. It's like why is this Coppola?
Right.
But this one needs someone who's like, let's frickin' go. Like let's do everything we can. Yeah, let's make a movie.
I am seeing in my notes, I wrote down an actual book of the vampire.
Yes, I saw that too.
I was so excited.
Like thump, it goes down. I'm like, it's a book of the vampire.
I'm glad we watched it. I was enthralled by it as much as I did not care for the general look or most of the performances. Boy, Anthony Hopkins.
Boy, yeah, he's going for it.
He's really just doing everything. And after now having him on this show in that horrible Alzheimer's movie, just to look at it was fantastic. Just to look at the scope of a career that happened between then and now was just an extraordinary treat. I thought that was really fun.
So we jump forward about 8 years. at the turn of the millennium, when everyone was thinking the world was going to end. And so it was time for a new Dracula, and Gerard Butler answered the call in Dracula 2000. Had anyone seen this movie besides me? Nope. No.
And
okay.
I was not looking forward to it because it's called Dracula 2000.
2000.
I'm like, oh, no. Is this a prank? Why is Kyle mad at us?
No, I honestly, I put it there just because I wanted to talk about the last 20 minutes. Like, basically, like, the rest of it, well, there actually was a lot more to it than I thought there was, but it was just that last 20 minutes I wanted you guys specifically to talk about, and we'll get there. But this was sort of coming off of the Scream Renaissance, like that had brought a bunch of stuff back. So that's why we have a lot of times this is credited as Wes Craven presents Dracula 2000, even though he's not the director of it. So it is very much of that whole, I don't know if there's a particular name for that period of time, but this is the, I know what you did, summer period. Like all of this sort of horror was now back, and so it was time for another Dracula to come around, and this is the Dracula we have of this era. So just like Bram Stoker's Dracula, this one does go out of its way to say Vlad Tepes, like he's the guy. This is the guy, and which again is not part of the novel, and somehow has now been grafted on to this and remains through the rest of this thing. I say the one theme we can say of all three of the movies is everybody hates the Turks.
They sure do. Yeah,
they are the recurring villains behind the scenes in all of these things. But we have this, and then another interesting love across time, but it gets a little creepier. So let's talk about Axis to Grind first before we dig into this millennial masterpiece.
I honestly kept waiting for it to completely fall apart, and it didn't for me. It's got some great style to Burn, and it's got some really cool editing practical sequences, like when she's seeing Dracula where he is, and he's sort of back in the mirror, then in the room and stuff. I think just because it was called Dracula 2000, I just was expecting something so much schlockier, and instead it was pretty cool, and it's got a killer cast.
Yeah,
cast is amazing. So,
Tommy, did you happen to see why it's called Dracula 2000?
What? No. I mean, I assume that's when it came out. Or?
Harvey Weinstein said, "Let's make a movie. It's called Dracula 2000." Oh. And he hired people to do it, and they're like, "What do you want it to be about?" It's like, "I don't care." Dracula 2000. And at one point, Scott Derrickson was the writer, and Derrickson, he's like Derrickson, this script sucks, and he's like, "Well, but I'm moving forward with it." He's like, "Why?" And he just, because it's called Dracula 2000.
Is that why he's in jail? Okay. That's crazy, but that seems perfectly perfectly exactly of that time of like, oh boy, 2000. Yeah.
Dimension Films, when they're just like, we don't know, but we're gonna try.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have other than there are certain things that don't work, and Jennifer Esposito is Jennifer Espositoing all over the place. I had a great time with this movie. I thought it was really fun, and it's got a pretty cool reveal.
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming, and I thought that was really a lot of fun.
Which reveal are you talking about? Because it may be my axe.
That he's actually Judas.
Yeah, no,
and that's why he hates Silver. I was like, great. That's awesome.
I have no problem with that. Absolutely.
I thought that was so much fun. It was great. Yeah.
You know what? I don't either. In just as we talk about it, that whole montage where he's on his knees below Christ on the cross was a big swing. Yes. And I came out of it thinking, what's next? Yeah. Like they kind of had me. I think that my biggest axe is going to be Gerard Butler's non-vampire tooth rig. He kept getting his lip caught. And he looked like Jim Carrey as a fireman.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, that's kind of where it was.
Yeah. Okay. I can't retroactively look at Gerard Butler without scruff. I don't it's so weird looking at him.
Yeah.
As this one as the Stuart Townsend version of Dracula here, but I have a bunch of little axes that would, if we went through all of them, it would make it seem like I like the movie less than I actually do. But it's just a bunch of little weird choices, right? But I think the only one that actually sort of impacts my enjoyment of the film is that there's too many characters, and as much as I like Johnny Lee Miller, I don't understand why the movie is told through this person's point of view as opposed to Van Helsing or Van Helsing's daughter or even the Omar Epps or the Jennifer Esposito characters. Like I'm not sure why.
Or even Jerry Ryan as like the reporter.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, I'm not sure why.
This isn't Dracula 1980. Right. It very much suffers from let's put all the more and more hot people.
Well, yeah, but then, it's basically like it's done by the poster. Like how many heads on this poster?
But one of the things that I wasn't prepared for and really enjoyed was I was like, whoa, they are just killing off this cast. Vampires, they're coming back. I'm so dumb. It didn't occur to me that they'd all be back again. I was like, boy, were people just working for free? He goes through half the cast of the airplane. And I was like, what are we going to do for the rest of the movie?
There's a whole thing of the brides. Like that was, I looked that up too, because that's like, obviously it's a big scene in the 92 one, and that there actually was even a spin-off kind of Dracula's Brides too. That has been a recurring thing. They didn't even get names for a long time until this one, and then they just kind of go away. Like they are sort of no longer part of the mythos at a certain point. They just stop talking about that because maybe it's the love story thing, which in this one gets a little convoluted because so we're meant to learn that Van Helsing has kept himself alive by siphoning blood from Dracula because he's trying to. Yeah, through oh well, of course, filtered through leeches. I mean, that's just science.
I would like to see him the first time and be like, well, let's roll the dice.
Mosquitoes? No. And so then somewhere across the line, as he's has kept his son from aging, at least or at a slower rate. He then had a child, and so that child has the blood of Dracula in her, and somehow this becomes the woman that Dracula is. Right, but isn't she a blood relative now?
Yeah,
it's not. It's sort of one generation away. I mean, it's even closer than cousin. It's a little bit like.
I think once it's the blood of vampires coursing through your veins, like all propriety around like cousins and they're all dead. They're all just dead. That's he's dead. They're all dead. Who cares?
There has been a long tradition of kill the head vampire, the other one dies. In Lost Boys, as you mentioned very recently when referring to these movies. So there is a very patrilineal thing going on where it's like it's very much like begat. I mean, sires is a big thing on Buffy, who begat who, and so it is definitely part of it, but it does make it so it's hard to root for these two as a couple.
Truth. Yeah.
Right, but they're not
when we're approaching it with the logic of animal husbandry, you're right. That's a challenge.
Well, the blood will tell. So then we come to the question again. Is this Dracula sexy?
Oh boy, he wants to be.
He does. He really does. I mean, standing with in the very Matrix inspired outfit in the red hallway, just with the glower. Not quite brooding. Gerard can't get to brooding yet.
Yeah, it's sexy in the way that like covers of novels are sexy. Like, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I know that this is what certain people think sexy is. It's not for me, but I thought he looked good.
He looked good for the era, right? Like
he fit right in. Yeah, I mean, you put that next to Dark City, next to Matrix, next to Blade. I mean, it all is of a piece.
I can't get over the way he has to talk.
Yeah.
His mouth is just so broken. That's not sexy. Get those teeth out.
But I just can't unsee the man he becomes, so yeah.
It was, to what Kynan was saying, though, it is weird seeing him without scruff. Like he looks 30 years younger.
Yeah, exactly. And when he grew the beard, and that was probably the best career decision he made. And it continues to work. He's still out there doing it. So, then let's. We've kept him out for too long. It's time to bring in God, and especially his son, Jesus because this Dracula knew him. So this reveal is honestly the reason I wanted to have this on, because I saw this in theaters when it came out. And so it turns out that they were buds. They hung. He was part of the 13.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, and they hang. Yeah, they hung and they hang. So yeah, it turns out that this Dracula is Judas Iscariot, the man who betrayed Jesus and sold him out to the Romans for 30 pieces of silver, thus explaining the hatred of God, the silver, the curse to walk the earth thing. So did anyone see that coming? Like, it was, they don't do a lot of things, but they're very much like, he hates God, silver,
hates God,
religion,
silver. I did not see it coming, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I like that kind of a twist kind of thing. I thought that was cool, and I thought the Bible imagery was nicely done. Like, in the same way of, like, kind of a little overwrought, but in a way that seemed to feel right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Well, it worked for his entire speech.
I think, for my money, the best shot in this thing, speaking of Bible imagery, is the last shot where he's on fire with his arms out and the cross is hanging over the building over him. That is an awesome shot. And it's a shot across so many bows. Just the fact that it exists.
And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made.
Yes, right. It is. I thought that was again, it was a big swing. It was a big swing. This was a big swing. I didn't see it coming, and I'm on Team Tom. I actually liked it. I liked it.
I just wonder, like, what could have been with this movie if they didn't save it for the last 20 minutes or something. Because the first part of it, is fine. It's
standard vampire.
Pretty standard, yeah. But then there's some really cool ideas in that reveal. Like, why does it have to be a reveal? That's really, really, really neat. I just imagine a lot of people like checking out mentally or just turning the thing off, before they get to that part of it, which is a reason to see this movie, is to recontextualize Dracula, as a biblical figure. That's ballsy,
That's super. 2000. I mean, it was 2,000 years ago, right?
Yeah. That's a really good point. It's in the name.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember what happened to Omar Epps? Like, that's he was in this movie.
He was hot. He was hot for a time.
He was. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they kind of like hint at the religious nature of like Omar Epps is they pulled the cross on him. Johnny Lee Miller pulls the cross and he's like, I'm an atheist or
sorry,
whatever.
Sport, I'm an atheist. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just wonder about like if we knew what the movie was about before those little clues, like would we be like, oh wow, and now there's like this little kind of subplot with Nathan Fillion as the priest, like we'd be like, oh, this all matters, as opposed to like this is sort of randomly strewn throughout the whole piece.
Yeah, I even knowing that, having watched it again, knowing the twist. So I watched it through that too. I was like, yeah, they don't do a lot of like M. Night Shyamalan nods along the way. It's just like God, silver, remember? God and silver. That's it. That's pretty much all you get. Like, you never get anything of like, we don't. There's a little bit of Book of the Vampire stuff of like trying to add in some like historical context, but I don't really spend too much time on it because there are pretty people to be killed.
Well, they do both work at Virgin Records.
They sure do.
Think about it, people. Yeah.
They hit that note a few too many times.
Yeah.
I do. There were some effect shots usually used around the modern metaphor of the vampires can't be seen in mirrors is vampires can't be seen through cameras.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually deeply cool.
That was great.
When she's Jerry Ryan's getting her throat slit and through the camera you can't see it. I thought that was great. That was just really clever.
It's got some really great ideas to it.
Yeah,
it really does. Even like you're talking about, like the flashback montage where we see where Dracula is caught by Van Helsing for the first time is through Van Helsing doing just a mirror trick in an alleyway and putting a mirror down. It's like, oh, I've never heard of this. Maybe it's in some version of Dracula before, but that's interesting and new.
Yeah, it's of its time. But I think I like a movie that takes a big swing. So like I appreciate the fact that they had a new idea for Dracula. It didn't stick,
Right.
But
I appreciate you putting this on the list because there is not a chance in hell I would see Dracula 2000. Have I made that clear that I don't?
Well, I guess you're not going to watch Dracula 2: The Ascension, where they have a completely different actor playing Dracula.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
okay.
It's Jason Scott Lee from
Oh
Dragon,
my gosh.
the Bruce Lee story.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. So once again, interesting choice.
But this came out like the last possible weekend it could have in 2000.
I'm sure they're rushing to get it out.
Yeah. I just wonder about like if they had another draft or something, it could have really been something. Like so, this is just occurring to me as we were talking when it should have been like underlined, but like so it takes place at Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Which means that the sunrise that kills Dracula as he's hanging there is the Ash Wednesday sunrise, and it's like
very nice.
But like it shouldn't take until 2025 when we're talking about it.
Yeah.
To figure that out. Like that's interesting. Like,
Officer thinking.
They need a little bit of a polish.
Oh, yeah, just
nothing
like
telegraphed in this
two
movie.
characters at the bottom, like as it's falling on them, like Ash Wednesday, right?
Ash Wednesday. This is crazy.
All right, so we move through. It turns out the millennium didn't bring the world to an end. So instead, we're going to jump forward 14 years to tell a story we've not known before. Dracula Untold. So who had seen this before I was assigned? No? Really? Just me? Okay.
Hadn't even heard of this one.
Okay.
Which seems
I know.
I'm gobsmacked that we hadn't heard of this one.
Yeah.
In fact, I had to go back because this movie was supposed to be the start of the Dark Universe.
Yes.
Right. And I thought that was The Mummy.
I thought that was The
Tom
Mummy.
Cruise.
No,
it's not. It was this.
It was this. Yeah, it's a whole thing. We get into it, but let's.
Weird.
Did you guys had never seen this before? I find this fascinating. That like now 10 years past when it was supposed to be a giant blockbuster.
Wow.
And, what are your actions?
It's big. It clearly has a budget.
Yes.
It doesn't always look great, but I mean,
Yeah.
they put a lot of power behind this.
Yeah, they did.
It's kind of a dumb title too.
Yeah.
Dracula Untold. There's an axe. I'll give an axe.
Of all of the Draculas that now, because we're making Vlad Tepes the hero of it, so the Ottomans are the background villain of it. This is the closest to being like Islamophobic, and like the brown people are stealing our blonde-haired boys. So I was worried about that. I don't know if it really tips into that, but the entire time I was a little bit like uncomfortable about being uncomfortable in the next scene. Like where you could be taking.
And yes, the most Nordic of all of the Romanian people,
right?
His wife. It's like, okay, was that you were off on a adventure somewhere and brought her back? Like like no one else in the movie looks like her at all. All right, yeah. So this was the attempt essentially for Universal to make Dracula into a Marvel character. Honestly, Marvel was doing really well, and so they wanted to Marvelize it. So you can see it has that same sort of feel to it. It has like a superhero origin stuff built.
So that's why we're keeping him alive at the end. Because they were
honestly, if you watch the deleted scenes, you'll see that all the Charles Dance stuff was added in after. So they'd shot the movie, and it was just a creature that he fights in the cave, and he comes out not knowing anything of what's going on, and Baba Yaga shows up and says, like, this is what's really going on. She, like, with her chicken house, like, he does the whole layout, the 3 days of the curse.
God, the Baba Yaga of the vampire.
Yeah, exactly. And so then when they decided to link it to the Dark Universe, they went back and shot they brought Charles Dance in, hired him, shot all stuff, because you can see he never interacts with any other character in the movie. Right. He's just there. Like they really just like brought the two of them out for a weekend or whatever, and then shot all that stuff. And then we have the sort of the end credit thing of them like in modern times, which was supposed to connect to Dark Universe. That was something when they shot the movie, they did not know, and it was something Universal came up with while they were finishing the edit of it, and then went, oh no, we have to do all this stuff to change it around.
Yeah,
really
Charles
sad.
Dance is great. Charles
great.
Dance is great in there, so I'm glad. I want to see that chicken house footage though. So I'll
the effects aren't finished, so but you get the idea of sort of what it was, and the take they show in that one, the woman was really going for it. So I'm like, ooh, maybe that wasn't the best of those. But when you're Baba Yaga, you got to give it the full Baba Yaga. Oh, there's the Keanu reference there too. So so this obviously is I would say probably the dullest fangs of all of our vampire things. Like we there's times that he is in love with his wife and they have a kid and he loves the kid and he loves his country and stuff too, and things start to I feel like this is a movie that starts out really strong, and I was like, "Oh, I'm with you. Like, you have me. This is an interesting. He is a anti-hero or dark hero. He's making hard choices with too, and then somewhere in the bat sequences, it sort of like loses sort of what it's about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that anybody else's thought?
Yeah, because this movie starts with a very similar tone to Bram Stoker's Dracula, right? Like we're creating this vengeance story that makes him someone we can relate to emotionally, and that's awesome. And then we have the montage where he is essentially Peter Parker learning how to spin web, but doing it with his turning into bats. And I kind of feel like I was done because they started to betray what Dracula is. If you're going to give me a movie called Dracula anything, there are some things that I'm going to want to have in it. And Luke Evans is just too clean.
What are your things? What are your things that you think make a definitive?
A dirty Luke Evans.
A dirtier Luke Evans. A dirtier Luke Evans. A horny Anthony Hopkins. I think we've already settled what it is. Right. I just feel like that you get the Marvel tone in his exploration of powers, and that neutered this principal character for me. He was no longer, I need him to be more villainous, right? That's what I want out of a Dracula. And I don't feel like I got that.
It's also kind of, overpowered. Like I didn't pick up on it being Marvel-ish, which of course makes sense, but because I was thinking about being like, these are just like video game levels. So this is the level like in, Batman Arkham or something, where now the game is that you're a wolf or that you're bats or that you're mist or whatever. Yeah. And that's what this whole level is about, is you using that power. So that is the weakest section for me, for sure.
For me, the big problem with the movie overall is it takes away the conflict of the character of Dracula. He does everything for honorable reasons.
Yeah,
he's on the side of right all the time, and the movie doesn't let us forget that. And Dracula's supposed to be a push-pull. I'm angry at God. I'm in defiance of the natural order and stuff. And he's just trying to save his 1,000 boys. And so that just robs that very much. I hadn't thought about it being in the Dark Universe or Marvel-ish, but in an attempt to make him a continuing hero, you have to rob so much of the anti-hero, the bad part. The stuff the bad stuff that goes along with the cool powers and putting people in thrall is you're damned and you're a jerk and you did it out of vengeance or spite or something like that. Instead,
you are not a sympathetic war hero.
You're not exactly. He's a sympathetic war hero who's just like super thirsty for a couple days, and you're like, okay.
Well,
and I think there's something really. There's something delightfully Shakespearean about what they tried to do, right?
Yeah.
That it feels classically tragic.
Yeah.
But by the time we get into kind of after the bat sequences, it becomes super dulled with just over expository writing and some real like generic action. It felt like I was thinking of Tom actually with the fake things throwing things at fake things. There's just a lot of digital fakery that did not. It didn't communicate. Like I'm a fan of digital, tools. I really am. These did not end up holding up very well, I don't think, right? And they didn't communicate the emotion and the fear and the gore and all of the stuff I wanted. It was just milquetoast.
It was very bloodless for being.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. For a movie called
protracted-
Dracula,
Yeah.
it is
for
incredibly
such
bloodless.
protracted.
Put that on the list.
It's
battle
going to be a
scenes.
PG-13 rated movie. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And like almost as mentioned before, almost neutered. Like there is, like he loves his wife. That's it. Like we never get any type of strong lust feeling for anything. We don't even.
His pants are on the whole time. Yeah, they just.
Well, it's not even that he
in
doesn't
the
seem
tent
to
and
even
then-
enjoy drinking blood. Like it's just sort of like, oh, this is just my power up.
This is a very
video game
sexless movie.
Yes,
very,
exactly.
very sexless, especially in comparison to the first one and then parts of and the second one. I mean, he's just collecting women.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we never. I think there's only like 2 women in the movie.
I think I like this movie more than you all, but I think it's interesting. Like, I'm glad that it exists because it can help us see what makes a Dracula movie. Because this is not really a Dracula movie in a lot of ways, and like one of the things that Bram Stoker's Dracula does is like it shows like, okay, what's appealing about the character is that we take this medieval person and then he survives into the Victorian era, and it's this romantic with a capital R. Like he's for ill or for good, he's going to be that person he was in the medieval era and all that, right? This one, by staying in the medieval era, like that loses something of Dracula. Dracula is supposed to have someone who survives and goes on.
He's
right?
supposed to be outside of time.
Yeah, outside of time. He crossed oceans.
Right,
of time.
exactly. In the book, when we meet him, it's already a couple hundred years after he's sort of had his sort of prime time, and he's a withered weirdo living in a castle.
Right.
And as a lot of weirdos in castles do, he's just buying land for unspecified purposes.
Classic castle weirdo behavior.
Right?
Yep.
But yeah, this one we have a dynamic. I did not put this on here because I dislike it. I do enjoy this. I think it's in terms of like the Marvel style action thing. I think it does work, and I feel I can't figure out exactly where it is when it loses me. But like I was going along like I'm really like captivated by this. I'm like really caught up in this and like the whole Faustian bargain of like giving up. Like, can you resist for the 3 days? And Charles Dance, being exactly what you want from a Charles Dance performance. Yeah. And like setting up the stakes. I'm like, oh, all right. And then somewhere along the line, it sort of just becomes so real gray and not morally gray, but like visibly gray.
Right.
Like, and it just becomes the CGI fest. And then, they decide to pick one of Dracula's powers and then just overemphasize it.
Yeah.
And it's bats.
There was a sale on bats. Whatever. I did one of the effects I really did like, and it seemed it's a real precursor. I wonder if Leigh Whannell happened to watch this before he made Wolfman, but the Drac vision.
Yeah.
That pulsing kind of thing, that was really cool. And then the scene when he wakes up in the river and everything is super like sensitized. I thought that was really well done, and kind of we're still doing that. Exactly like that, but that was a long time ago. Wait, when did this come out?
2014.
Yeah, that was a long time ago to do all that. So I liked it. I thought that was really cool.
But the other thing that this movie does that, again, for me helps clarify like what Dracula is. Like Dracula tricks you into getting alone with him and then he kills you, right? And so for this to be like they want to be Bram Stoker's Dracula, but they also want to be Braveheart or Gladiator, and like he's killing all of those people. It's like maybe Dracula can't be Braveheart.
Right, he has to be Jack the Ripper.
Day 2,
exactly.
His people
Jack the Ripper,
like day 2. Like, like on the second day, they're like, "Well, we have to kill this monarch and set him on fire." Like, he is not the leader of men. Not the inspirational leader you hope for.
It is really interesting because you get all of these movies do something sort of similar, right? Where we have Bram Stoker's Dracula, the gothic response to repressed desire by way of trauma, right? We've got the Dracula 2000 theological threat, right, where he's less of a monster and more of a cosmic indictment on Christianity, but we still have these characters who are responding to him by leaning toward monstrosity, and the third one, we have this man pushed to monstrosity by duty and I don't see Dracula as a dutiful character.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no like honor.
I
guess.
Or the story should be him severing all of the bonds of
Yes.
armor. So like becoming a savage.
Right.
You know,
and then
in
leaving
some ways,
leaving his
he's
whole
the
village
monster
and
by the
people
end.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that. Of course, they wouldn't for what they were trying to do. They would never have him
Right.
like actually turn on his wife or child. But like that's the story. Like
that's
honestly,
the story.
That's what it's calling out for. Is him to be like, sorry, honey.
Yeah.
You gotta go. Like it. You know, like
it's
one
so
by one,
weird that Sony
betrayed by his
then,
people, betrayed by his country, betrayed by his his spouse or whatever, and then he's free, but yet now he's ruined everything. Like that's the gothic
Morpheus
tragedy.
or
Morbius.
Morbius. It's the Morbius story.
We would not have the perfect living vampire movie until Morbius came.
That's what it is.
But that's the trouble, right?
Our scythe.
That's right.
So I'm judging those Sony movies, Craven and Venom and Morbius, without having seen them. So I understand it being a hypocrite. But for those like to jump immediately, like in this movie, from hey, just he's a reformed villain, okay? Like he's a hero who used to be a villain, without doing the villain
John Wick
part
origin.
of it first,
You know,
right?
He did terrible things, and now he has left all that behind him. And now he's just a regular guy. Just don't kill his dog.
But the studio doesn't have the heart to really show him being a villain first. So it's not like here's a a Dracula movie that's real, and then he gradually becomes a good person. It's like he's always a good person.
Right.
Morbius and Venom, they're good guys.
These guys want to hang out.
They got a good sense of humor. They got bits and jokes.
Yeah. Right. So obviously Luke Evans is by all accounts sexy, but is Dracula sexy?
But yeah, I mean, I guess I can see why his wife loves him.
He's sexy, but he's not sexual.
Yeah.
So it's like the bottom is cut out from it. There's just something very teen beat sexy versus like actually like adult sexy. So I don't know.
It might be worse than that. He's like a procreator for the sake of having a second son. That's a sexy sex scene that they have in their little place where she's feeling and she can't find his scars. That's a sexy idea, but he's like, this is for Transylvania. That's why I'm making love to you. Right?
For my country.
Wait a minute, I have to get this flag out. We do it under the flag.
All right, so there was the. It seems that the Marvelization process doesn't work on every single character. I see what they wanted, but it's like if you don't have the and I would say the same thing with Morbius too. Even if you don't have the guts to really go for it in a vampire thing, then you shouldn't be making a vampire movie.
Did they sweep the idea that this was the first Dark Universe under the rug? Because I swear they talked about it being the Mummy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they
kind of retcon it.
The weird thing is
came out?
This was a hit everywhere else. Like this movie was made for about $70 million, and it made about $215 million.
How have I never heard of it?
But it was a flop here. Like essentially, it came out and died opening weekend. Like we were talking about in the pre-show. And then Universal just like, well, we don't know what this is. We never saw it before. Like, and so, but the rest of the world was like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. We like this. But it was considered a flop in America, so they never went any farther with trying to incorporate it. And then when the Mummy came out and flopped titanically,
right?
Then they were like, okay, so it's all got to go. So yeah, they were trying to like have it be that they were even talking about having a maybe cameo in the Mummy, but then when it was Dracula, yeah, to literally have Dracula show, or actually, I think it was Charles Dance's character. I don't think he was even named. He was going to be a recurring nemesis, a sort of Nick Fury-ish, whatever kind of like he would show up in multiple things. Not that he was like assembling the team, but
and the only thing that's left of the Dark Universe is Orlando, right? Like they have the Dark Universe,
right? Which is not they do not want you to connect the two. Even though you use the same name, they do not want you thinking about Tom Cruise's Mummy or Luke Evans' Dracula when you go there. Even though despite they had the branding, so I guess they wanted to use it.
Well, time's running out for Universal because they're going to be in public domain pretty soon because Frankenstein is 1931, so they only have a couple years left. Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. I'm sure there's some terrible horror movies just waiting to come out right there.
I can't wait to see Frankenstein versus Winnie the Pooh.
You say that, yet somebody's already putting that into ChatGPT.
I've actually been working out and eating a lot of greens because I want to be here for Dracula 3000.
Cyberpunk Dracula. I like it.
Yep.
All right, so there we go. So there was our Drac Pack. There was we got to see sort of the evolution of that, and I think the character, as one thing we know, he will not stay dead.
Right.
So we're just waiting for someone to have a fresh take on our favorite count. So what do you? Any final thoughts on my three flavors of Dracula?
Thrilled with your picks.
Very much.
And because I have been on the record of I'm not a traditionalist, and so I'm not a Dracula person. I don't really usually care about the main monsters, which is so dumb because I'm on a horror podcast. But so I wasn't the most jazzed about this, and I just got more and more and more jazzed, and I should have just remembered to completely trust you from the beginning and be like, you're not just going to pick 3 of 90 just at random. You had a reason, and it was all really interesting, and it kept the whole thing really progressing very nicely. So thank you.
They all look very similar too. I mean, like that's true. I mean, like you can see that they're very much in the Gary Oldman thing of like ruddy, long black hair.
I want to ask because everything Tom said, I agree. I had only seen one of these. I am delighted to have seen the other two. They were a romp, even though I didn't fall in love with them. I am curious after these for each of you, if you wanted to sit down and put on your Dracula movie, we could broaden it to vampire movie. What would it be?
Right now, it's got to be Sinners.
Sinners, Sinners is pretty dynamic, I gotta say.
Yeah.
It's the least vampire of the vampire while still being extremely vampire-y, and so I love it.
Yeah.
For me, it's still Bram Stoker's Dracula because I can hear everything that everyone says about the story of it or whatever, but you just can swim in that movie, right? There's just like just stuff happening that brings out my film nerd. It's I am also a big Moulin Rouge fan or Scott Pilgrim fan, so I just like, look at all this crap that's happening.
We never stopped filming.
Right, exactly.
I think Sinners unseats From Dusk Till Dawn, but there's still an awful lot of Dusk Till Dawn that I like. I said Lost Boys for a reason. Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Never seen it.
It's extraordinary. Right. Okay. I really, really enjoyed it. Iranian vampire Western noir.
That old chestnut.
Oh man, a vampire on skateboard. It was really, really, really good. So there are a lot, but none of them really capture the classic feel of Dracula, and I really wonder about that. Like, what is it like? Are we finished with Dracula? And we've just moved on to exploring vampirism outside of Dracula canon.
I think, well, I would say in response to your first question, for me, Near Dark is a lost gem of vampires. I love that movie because it's sort of this down. It's very blue collar, gritty, like almost like a dirty crime Western thing, and also they're vampires. Like that's one of those. I love Lost Boys as well, but like that's one of the ones that I always go back to because it's just nothing. There's nothing else like it.
What We Do in Shadows, Only Lovers Left Alive. Those are a couple.
Like I said, we can talk about. I can talk about vampire movies forever. Right. I think. I mean, we have. As we're recording, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is coming.
Yes,
I have a feeling that's going to be big. Like that's going to,
me too.
Like it's going to hit, and I feel like that's going to be sort of like it's going to redefine Frankenstein for a while. That this will sort of, sort of maybe take away from the square bolt-necked, Herman Munster style. But I think it's due. I think we're due. I think that they tried to do the guys from Doctor Who tried to do a Dracula, and it is not worth seeing. And I feel like everyone is still sort of in the shadow of Bram Stoker's Dracula, of Gary Oldman's performance. And I think that no one has really had a fresh enough take, to go onto it. But I think we're due.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe Dracula. Maybe the reason why we might be moving on from Dracula, Peter, or we haven't quite found our version is there's something inherently Baroque and upper class to Dracula, right? It's about nobility, or in our versions, he's a prince or something like that, right? And the 30s Universal horror movies, they're almost every single one are about like regular old people from the town getting screwed over by these rich jerks on the hill, you know. Like every single one except for the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is later anyways. All the other ones are about rich jerks.
Right.
So unless we can
thus
figure out,
leading to an angry mob,
right? Yeah,
pitchforks.
Yeah, so maybe in order for it to be, you know, about women or about you know, children, like Let the Right One In or whatever, we have to move away from Dracula. Like maybe inherently Dracula is about class in some way.
That's interesting.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
Kenan.
I mean,
think so.
there has been a new version of Interview with the Vampire, which is phenomenal.
That's right.
They're really doing some amazing stuff with what I thought as sort of like dated material, but like they found a fresh take on it, and I feel like that's the kind of energy we need someone to approach it, and exactly what you're saying, Kenan, like to take on like what is that version of it today. You know?
We never did this. We never covered this on any of the Next Real family of shows. But what is your take on the Robert Eggers Nosferatu? Just briefly.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I've seen the. I actually thought this the companion piece to this might be like Nosferatu, Shadow of the Vampire, Nosferatu.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So that was originally, but this is the first thought I had was those three, and then I was like, oh, but what if there's a Dracula version of this? And that's when I started putting this together.
Oh, we'll come back and do that one. Yeah.
Well, that'll be something we need to kick down the curb a little bit, but I think it's worth talking about.
Well, I think I'm glad this episode didn't suck. Because as Gary Oldman handed off his role to Gerard Butler and Gerard Butler to Luke Evans, change is a constant thing, and you can't stay in one place forever. And so this is my last episode of Sting in the Dark, at least for now. I have
promised us immortality.
I have a lot of baby birds ideas that have come up that will die without me. And so I need to tend to them, because this show is healthy and flourishing, and is the one thing that I can step away from and I know will continue on. And who knows, when you look back, maybe I'll be like the guy from the first season of Parks and Rec that nobody talks about. It was just like when he left the show, all of a sudden it took way off, and like, oh,
who is that?
Exactly.
Exactly. The love interest. I can't even remember what his name is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your replacement turns out to be like Mark Maron.
Right, exactly. And it's just like, he's got a lot of free time now. So, yeah,
well, thank you, Kyle. Yeah. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Kyle.
I'm glad that I could go out with this. This has been. I will absolutely miss these chats, because these episodes are always some of the most fun to record. But I'm sure that the new person sitting in this seat will be just as excited, if not more so.
And I will say, I just want to remind everybody that this show was Kyle's idea. And so we should all remember that this was Kyle's idea and he's walking.
My child is all grown up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. I wish we could announce an able steward for the fourth seat right now. We don't have one yet, but we are in discussions. So in the meantime, we do have a coming attraction for next month.
We do. Sorry, I came in a little hot just there. Yes, my name is Tommy, and I am in charge of the theme for next one. And my episode is going to be called Rug Pullers. Basically, these are horror movies that present a conceit or an idea or a game and then change the entire premise. They pull the rug out from under you and everything goes topsy-turvy. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's always a huge swing. And I'm excited to talk about these 3 movies in no particular order. We are going to be talking about J.T. Moliner's 2023 Strange Darling. We are going to be talking about Zach Kreger's 2022 Barbarian. Mm-hmm. And Leslie Manning's 1992 British TV special, Ghost Watch, which is one of my absolute most favorite things in the entire world. And once I had friends over after a night of drinking, and I said, I've got to show you this, and they both fell asleep. So let's see how this goes. This aired on Halloween in 1992 on British television, and it became their War of the Worlds. And you'll see why. It took the nation by storm. Yes.
Is it something that is accessible? Are we finding it on YouTube? Is that
no? You can find. Do not find it on YouTube. The thing that's on YouTube traditionally is a commentary about it. But if you go, you can get it. It's either on like Shudder or you can rent it for like $1.99 because it's tasked as a TV special, not a movie. So you can get it. But do take a look and make sure that you're right. If you don't, if for some reason only I can because I'm special, I have a background. I have one that I can slip in instead. But I think those three are movies that you start and you're like, got it. I know exactly where this is coming, and you do not.
All right.
Yeah. I Strange Darling broke my brain a little bit. Barbarian broke my brain a little bit. This is a great list. I am very excited to talk about these movies.
Those are all new to me, so I'm looking to do it.
Oh, Kynan, I'm so excited for you. Sweet. Speaking of baby birds. Sweet baby bird. Well, this has been really fun.
Yep.
And I'm thrilled to have this letterbox list. Will be up very, very soon. If you want to follow that and get Tom's thing. I'm also going to build a letterbox list of all the movies we've talked about, which will be good for me because I forget now all the movies that we have talked about. So that'll be in the show notes too. And I can't wait for Tommy next month. This is going to be really fun. Thank you guys, Kynan, Tommy, and of course, Kyle.
We love you. We love you.
We love you, buddy.
Thanks for the memories.
This has been... You're going to go out with that? That's going to be the thing you want to be remembered for? That's all right.
Oh, wait, I have one more thing to say about Dracula 2000 that I just thought of. You know, when it turns out that Judas is a vampire, he's even more scary. Yeah. Yes.
Worth it. That was worth it. Very much worth it.
Yeah. Just put that as in the very top. Okay, go ahead.